Throughout history, mankind has sought out materials which can be molded into any shape. Clay first addressed this need, then eventually metals and glass, but it wasn't until 1907 when Leo Baekeland, who is widely thought of as the father of the plastics industry, coined the term plastics in conjunction with the release of his invention, Bakelite, the first fully synthetic plastic. Since their invention over 100 years ago, plastics have become one of the most widely used materials on the planet. Plastics can be found in use everywhere. Through the 20th century, the use of plastics spread across the globe into all industries and households. Plastic addressed the need for a cheap, lightweight, versatile material which could be formed into any shape and used in almost any fashion. As the 20th century drew to a close, it had become apparent that this miracle product also had a dark side. By this point, many countries had begun recycling in earnest, gaining full investment and adherence by their population, while other nations lagged behind in their knowledge of useful recycling workflows and recycling programs, and still others simply buried plastics in landfills or disposed of them by dumping them anywhere convenient. Plastics for me in my daily life, I get up in the morning and I will brush my teeth, obviously, at some point in the morning. So I use a plastic toothbrush, and the toothpaste is in a little plastic bottle. And those get recycled eventually. I actually reuse my toothbrushes. Well, I reuse them for a dog's toothbrush, but then also I will put them in a toolbox. I'll clean them out and put them in my toolbox, and then maybe use them somewhere down the road for some cleaning purpose. And I usually have one old toothbrush somewhere under the sink so that you can use it for cleaning purposes. Then I will also have some coffee, and my coffee tends to come in a plastic bag, small plastic bag, and then that plastic bag comes from the store in a plastic bag. Another daily use of plastic would be when I open the bread bag to take bread out to make a peanut butter sandwich. I eat a lot of peanut butter, and I've handled a lot of bread bags. The dreaded plastic grocery bag that we all know and have seen in the streets and in trees and in trash containers. And there are most stores that provide you with these do have programs where they accept them back. They can be turned back in and recycled, but you don't get a lot of adherence. A lot of people, you go to anybody's house and they usually have a closet or a cabinet or a drawer or something where they've got several dozen of these things stuffed because they're useful as bags. But what we've been trying to do for the past couple of years is use just a simple, reusable bag. You find that a lot of businesses these days give out bags with their, merchandise purchases, and it's free advertising for them. I'm not even sure what this one, Northern Lights, is, unless it's potentially a marijuana company. But this is what we've been trying to do for the past couple of years, is move to the reusable bags to get away from the continued consumption of plastic bags. We've now reached the point in the 21st century where we know plastics, disposed of improperly in years past, have invaded our natural environment in the form of microplastics, which continually break down into smaller and smaller particles, yet remain in their plastic polymer form.
The microplastic issue, nobody understood that at that point in time. Where the micro pieces of plastic come in is, since the microbes won't degrade these polymers, it turns out there are other ways that the polymers can be broken down that is purely abiological. There's photooxidation. UV light can break them into smaller pieces. Mechanical, the larger, like insects and things, can chew on it, break it into smaller pieces. And then just friction as they've moved around in landfills or wherever they are, that they get broken down into little tiny pieces. And so ultimately they get so small that they may be mixed in with some organic matter that a filter feeder, say if it's in an aquatic environment, filter feeder may try to eat that organic matter. Well, they get the little pieces of the plastic too. Since the 60s, since we figured out that there were lots of plastics in particular that were non-biodegradable, microbiologists and other biochemists and others have been working to try to come up with biodegradable plastic in some form or another. Maybe something like polyethylene bags or plastic bags. And there have been some that have been produced, and they are produced from natural polymers that there are bacteria that possess enzymes that can break those down. The issue with that, and I know you can buy, and you've been able to buy probably for 20, 25 years, the equivalent of a sandwich bag that is made of one of these polymers. But the problem is they are so costly compared to the petroleum-based plastics that we use for everything else.
These microplastics are contaminating the air, water, soil, plants, animals, and even humans. Microplastics found anywhere, whether they're in the gut of a fish in a deep ocean trench or in the soil of an Iowa cornfield, are likely from plastics disposed of decades ago. So a key understanding is to know that even if we're able to start a globally 100% compliant recycling system today, we'd still be dealing with decades of plastic out there in the environment, continually breaking down into microplastics for decades yet to come.